This Ignite is going to focus on feedback. Feedback as a teacher can really hinder or hurt the type of work that your students complete. In these examples, that may have been the case, as these teachers may not have gone about feedback in the best way possible. Chappis focuses on motivation. She focuses on two types of motivation in the classroom. You have extrinsic and you have intrinsic motivation. In this example, it's more so an extrinsic or physical factor influencing the student to do well. In this example, the Karate Kid Daniel focuses more on his intrinsic or internal drive to succeed in the karate championships. He wanted to succeed based on his own internal factors as opposed to an external motivator. Praise and recognition play an important part in motivation as well. Praise on the right is more so a good job as opposed to the recognition for the work that you do in recognition. The difficult thing that you want to be careful of is that students don't become too dependent on praise. If they do, they may shut down, or they may not do as well of work if praise is not given and they've become dependent on praise. Success feedback focuses more on what is good. It focuses on, you did well, I'm impressed with this. There's a difference between next step feedback. Next step feedback focuses on what you could do next. So instead of this, you should try this next. Instead of, I'd rather put a campfire out with my face than listen to you give another useless long-winded PowerPoint, let's see where we can make some improvements. The main thing you want to remember is to always be specific. You want to be specific for a couple of reasons. If you're not specific, you can actually damage student self-efficacy. There's a difference between next step and positive negative feedback. There's been a connotation of if something's not positive, then it has to be negative. So to frame next step feedback, you should try, I think you're ready for this. I think you're ready for semicolons. There's also a growth mindset and fixed mindset with feedback. So if a student fails, a student with a growth mindset might work to go again, as opposed to a fixed mindset who may just accept the status quo. Effective feedback does four things. It directs attention to the intended learning, occurs during learning, addresses partial student understanding, and it doesn't do the thinking for the student. Effective feedback directs attention to the intended learning. You want to get your students to see what you want them to see. Effective feedback also occurs during learning. This can be during the instruction. It can be just any time students are really learning. Effective feedback addresses partial student learning. So this student understands that the wheels in the bus do something, but not exactly what. And effective feedback doesn't do thinking for the student. It allows them to come to their own conclusions that they think of themselves. Grading too soon. What does this do for students? Should we grade formative assessments? It's easy for us to grade, enter grades, and mark up things, but what does that do for student learning? It can actually hinder it. My opinion is that we should give the gift of time. Due tomorrow? Nah, due tomorrow. Is this the lazy thing? No. Better assignments can come from more time. At least that's my opinion. You've probably seen this sign in classrooms. Due dates are closer than they appear. Due dates are ugly words. Students hate them and there's usually excuses. So what are we going to do about it? Due dates can create this sense of, okay, I'm done with the learning. No, you're really not. There's way more that you can learn once you turn an assignment in. And I really hope to, by establishing giving more time, in my opinion, I plan to give more time. If you can turn things in by the end of the semester, as opposed to a due date that I establish, and you give me better work, that's a good thing. For example, if a student turns in something on the left, they're not going to get as good of a grade as the student on the right who took more time to fully flush out the assignment and complete it. Chappis focuses on an essential feedback loop, in which case teacher-guided instruction or student self and teacher-guided plan is gone back to the student action before a grade is established.